Someone who should be on everybody's radar, Maya Caldwell of the Atlanta Dream, is here to join us. Locked on Women's Basketball starts now.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hi there. Happy Thursday to you. I am Howard Megdal, founder and editor of The Next, where we cover women's basketball 24/7, 365 at thenexthoops.com. I want to thank you for making Locked On Women's Basketball your daily first listen every day. You can subscribe to us wherever you get podcasts, on YouTube as well. Make sure you're listening. We are bringing you the stories that matter. And I'm not sure there is a WNBA story that matters more to those of us paying close attention to the league than the emergence of Maya Caldwell. Maya has just been doing incredible work with the Atlanta Dream. She joins us here. And Maya, when you thought of what the 2022 season could be, knowing there are no guarantees, knowing you're going to have to push for a roster spot, has this exceeded even what your expectations were coming into the year?
Exceeded most definitely. I was not expecting my first WNBA season to look like this. So far, I'm on my second dream. And it's definitely something that I'm trying not to take for granted. Being in and out of Atlanta, at first it seemed wasn't part of the plan. The plan was, make the team, be on the team consistently throughout the season, but still being able to come back whenever they call and help out and be the best I can be myself.
When it comes to this type of edge of the rosters, and if you'll forgive a point of personal privilege, and we'll get into the numbers as to why it matters, there's no question in terms of production, in terms of what you bring, in terms of the way the Dream value and think of you, that you deserve a regular spot in this league. This is a league that needs places for players the caliber of Maya Caldwell, right? But how is your family in terms of the ability to support you? I know they've gotten to see and experience as well, but like, what is that for you as a support network? What are those conversations like, and how do they help you navigate, what are difficult waters for anyone?
My family has kept me sane throughout this process. They support me and love me, but they also push me, and I need to do more, and when I need to do less, and if I'm just not doing. They're very straightforward, very blunt, but they're very caring. My parents might be learning as parents should be, but between them, siblings, they have held it down. They have really carried me throughout this journey.
So that journey, and for those who may not know, you signed a hardship contract back on June 19th. You come in and have an epic game. And the great Gabriella Lewis, who writes for us over at thenexthoops.com, wrote about it. But to be able to come and have that burst of success the way you did, take me through. You're on the court. It is happening. Are you able in that moment to think about how special that is? Or if not, when did you first get to reflect on it?
And there were moments in the game where honestly would feel like tears of joy, kind of. I had to, keep my composure, but I was just so excited. Every three I hit, every play I made, every floor, like the coaches trusted me with scores in the league. Enrique,
Yeah.
From the time I flew into Atlanta, to stepping off that court after that first, a dream, ironically.
And it was like you're talking about the way in which you felt about it. So we're in the business of covering, right? And so we have to sort of have a certain distance and we're trying to get a sense of, all right, you know, give people a sense of what it meant and separate from that. But at the same time, for those of us who have seen the type of player you are in college, in high school, the way in which we know you had to fight for this, to see that moment, I just let people understand what that was. You finally got a chance. It's June 21st, 2022. You made 7 of 11 field goals. You made 4 of 5 threes, 18 points, 4 assists, 2 steals. You're defending Arike Agumbawali, one of the most difficult players to defend one on one. And it was a statement win. It was the type of win that, with you guys fighting for a playoff spot, could well be the difference between reaching the playoffs and not doing so. But I guess the other side of it, as I'm talking to you about it, is 5 days later, the 7 day ends, and even though you've proven yourself, your time temporarily in Atlanta comes to an end. How many people do you think would have been capable of rolling with it the way you have? And like, how did you deal with that? Knowing you showed you belong and trying to deal with the ramifications of that 5 days later.
It's not easy on the mind going home, but I understood that I am a very spiritual person. Like, what God has for me is for me, and I have nothing to worry about. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, whether that's in Atlanta or back home in Charlotte, training and work. And I trust His plan. I trust the process completely. It's more work to be done, and I knew God was saying, not yet. Be patient. So that's what I roll with. That's how I kind of work with everything.
Do you enjoy feeding off of people underestimating you? You go back and you look, and I see that I think it was the Hoop Girls Top 100. They had you 76th, which is very amusing to those of us who saw you play and understood that there's no chance there were 75 players ahead of you in that group, right? Do you like to feed off of it, or is it something that you kind of put aside and it doesn't affect your process at all?
I don't pay any attention. It doesn't faze me.
Mm-hmm.
People are gonna have that's just part of the game. It's just kind of what I think of myself. Nobody else has to say.
So June 26th comes, the first tenure ends, you go back to Charlotte. What's your day to day like as you were awaiting or hoping, presumably for another call?
At 6:30 in the morning, at I and then what about man? I'm going as a community health worker, like an outreach with behavioral health. And then after that, I would go to a skills, do a little bit of downtime, and I would go to another skills workout, and I would just repeat the same thing the next day. Wednesdays are like my recovery days. I would do more stretching, reading, chiropractor, cryotherapy, stuff like that. Pretty set schedule, 2 or 3 workouts a day, every single day. Just coach told me to.
But effectively, and again, I just want to highlight this. I want to point out, that's a grueling regimen, and you're doing it without the promise of anything, without a league spot, without being paid by the league. Effectively, you're subsidizing the league having additional professional quality players by yourself. It is something, again, if you'll forgive the point of personal privilege, it has to change, whether that's through larger rosters, whether that's through expansion. It's something that it's happening anyway, because you are not going to be denied. It is more just a question of, will the league put that on you, or is the league going to be taking care of it yourself? I assume you see it the same way I do, right?
Oh yeah, as far as the league expanding and like everything that has to do with that. That's not in my control, unfortunately. I would love to be able to just snap my fingers and then have people like my sisters can't because the league is so small or there's not enough pay, be able to play. What I can't control is the work that I put in, and I know that I'll be back. Like you said, made a statement. So is now.
So I want to get into more about the statement part two, because we got to talk about what happened last night and we got to talk about what's coming ahead. I also want to talk about your plans in the nonprofit sector, and we're going to get into all of that. I am first going to let people know about betonline.net, which is the fastest and easiest way to check all your betting needs. And it's significant to us here at Locked On Women's Basketball that they mean all. It's not just NFL, NBA. They have WNBA. They have women's college basketball. I'm not a wagerer myself, but I'm someone who is a firm believer in equality of opportunity. And it is important that betonline.net offers that for men's and women's basketball at the same time. Your top online resource for all your sports wagering information. So head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. And so you are a person of many talents. I know you play the piano. I would imagine it's difficult to get reps playing the piano these days between, essentially your 3 workouts a day and your, on again, off again work dominated on the WNBA court. Is how often you say you play the piano these days?
Oh, these days I rarely play. I'm too busy. I don't really want to pursue a career in, so I just kind of play for fun. If I have some free time, I might use it real quick and just play. But when I was younger, my siblings and I used to have like week, so it's something I do enjoy. It's just like a little hobby. There.
Sure. Understood. Right. And it's hard to take a piano on road trips, no doubt. But the
Yeah.
the nonprofit work, and this is a long held plan. I read an interview with you back in 2017 where you were talking about this right when you got to school. You graduate from Georgia with a degree in communications. Didn't stop there. Graduate studies in the nonprofit world. But take me through why the nonprofit world has been a target of yours, and how you see that developing for you and the ways in which you want to contribute.
So when I was younger, I started like a local nonprofit organization. We simply collected canned foods, book bags, clothes, and we just auction it. And I that's where my passion for nonprofit, or not giving back, but for giving. Um, and siblings and I, we really started to get into basketball and other sports over the summer to host these drives and travel the East Coast and stuff like that. So we put it on pause. And since then, I've been wanting up, maybe put a little twist on it, I feel like I might be getting closer to that. I'm not a degree in nonprofit management,
Mm-hmm.
but it started when I was young. My mom is really big on just giving to them. I became really big on that as well, just following her footsteps and watching her. So definitely something I'm really passionate about. Definitely something I am going forward to doing. And just waiting for the right time, waiting for so yeah, it's in the process, it's in the works. WNBA right now, obviously, but it's something.
It's really interesting. I think the way in which your successes and your platform could potentially lead to being able to do more on the nonprofit side as well. I guess I wonder to what extent that drives you on the basketball court as well. Just knowing that, we see so many examples throughout the league of players who are able to give back and who are able to amplify their giving back by virtue of being part of it. Does that come into play for you as you think about the way in which you play here?
college basketball has been my platform
Mhm.
as long as I've played. The connections that you make, networking through really, in sports in general, I feel like, especially at this level, they they set you up to do really anything you want to do because you meet people who, and it's just like I said, networking. So it's to not do what you really want to do outside of sport at a higher level when you have these kind of connections.
Yeah. No, it makes all the sense in the world. And so if I could take it back to the court, and we want to talk about this because, again, you come out there last night, and unlike the previous games, you're coming off the bench. You have not played in a WNBA game in over a month, from June 26th through August 3rd. Well, all you did in a must-win game for the Atlanta Dream is put up another 10 points, 6 assists, 7 rebounds, a steal, a block, a box score stuffer, as the parlance goes, throughout it. What was going through your mind as you get the call to check back in and getting the opportunity to do this once again?
Um, I was just like, let's go. I'm ready. This is what I've been praying for. This is what I was ready to go. The first time they called me, I was ecstatic. I was out in public. But the second time they called me, it was just like a business call. I was ready to go.
You are a listed at 5'11" big guard with a plus defensive ability who hits 53.8% of your threes in the WNBA action so far. Two parts of that. Number one, how has that now changed the way you think about where and what you want to do overseas? And number two, how significant do you think that is when you are figuring out your WNBA fit for next year, when teams are calling, when you have the opportunity to get a more regular spot? Those are all skills in extremely high demand in this league.
Overseas, I committed to playing Israel this
Mm-hmm.
fall. If I made up this is just the type of player that I am. So as
Right.
far as playing over I go, I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna perform the same. I'm gonna be the same as far as next year for the league. I will be great. Whoever picks me up. Um, this is what I expect for myself. This is the standard I hold myself to. I just would love for other coaches and players argue in that. That's fine. I'll keep grinding. But right now, I'm just focused, and we'll see about overseas and next year when we get there.
You can't argue with the results, you can't argue with the numbers, and you can't argue with the effort every step of the way. So, Maya Caldwell, I expect to be covering you in this league for a very long time, and I'm delighted to see it. Before I let you go, I just want to remind our listeners we thank you for making Locked On Women's Basketball the first listen every day. Um, it's interesting. It's something that I recently found out. There is apparently a league for men called the National Basketball Association, and apparently they play in Atlanta too. Maya, is that true? Is there a team called the Hawks down there? Is that what they're called?
I think so. I just heard
Okay.
about them the other day. Actually, they're actually pretty good this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a good way to pass the time between WNBA seasons, the way I figure. And
Yeah.
so, if you want to follow them, Locked On NBA gives you your latest on NBA updates and rumors in just 30 minutes every day. So once you've made sure you've listened to Maya's interview, yeah, go ahead and check it out. The NBA, very good too. Maya Caldwell, All the best of luck to you on and off the court. Looking forward to our paths crossing again soon. To our listeners, thank you for your time. The great Alex Simon will be talking to you tomorrow, and we'll be back next week with more interviews with the newsmakers and the people who are covering them. Until then, I am Howard Megdal, wishing you a wonderful Thursday.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.